and welcome to the 2017 Think Differently programme. This programme is available online on iLearn, and today I am joined by Simon Williams.
Hi.
Simon is going to talk to you about engagement, and this is Simon's specific topic that he'll talk to you about today. And once this chat is actually finished, Simon will have all content, videos available, and even a task for you to complete before you move on to the next stage. Okay, so welcome, Simon.
Cheers, Ash.
So first of all, if you don't mind, I'd like you to tell me about, in your time as a manager, what did you do to keep your staff engaged, please?
I think first of all it's important to kind of recognise that the staff engagement is different to staff satisfaction. Employee engagement we measure is the extent to which employees feel passionate about their jobs, they're committed to the organisation, and then as a result, put discretionary effort into their work. Staff need to be able to feel a part of company objectives and be able to influence those. So some of the things that I've maybe done well over the years in both a team manager level and operational level would be, I think I give my staff / managers the autonomy to make their own decisions, their own mistakes, without any sort of fear of reprisal.
Yeah.
I'd rather a manager who would be bold, make a decision without fear of making a mistake, than sit on the fence and play it safe. The only way we're going to move forward as a business is if our managers are bold, are daring, and we'll come up with new, fresh and innovative ideas. As a TM, I did like to give members of my team responsibility for controlling different aspects of the team, as well as developing them as individuals. It also allowed me to delegate work to certain individuals whose skill sets fit those work. I think it's important for us to remember, and I sometimes do fail at this if I'm honest, we may not always be the best person for every job. So I'd like to think that I have kind of continued that with my TM group as I've moved into the operational role. One thing that's very important is showing appreciation where needed to our staff through reward and recognition schemes. Never underestimate the power of the words thank you. It goes a long way for our staff members, and I think you'll get more out of them by showing appreciation for what they've already done. I'd like to think that I know that I've developed people to move on to other roles. Many of my seniors had as TMs have now gone on to become TMs, trainers, and I'd like to continue that. I don't think there's anything more rewarding as a manager to see somebody you've worked with develop, and even if you've only had a small part to play in that, it's hugely rewarding within our roles, and that should never be underappreciated really. You've always got to recognise that different staff members have different motivators. I think that should have been first really. Some are motivated by development, some by promotion, some by incentive, and some by a simple thank you and just showing our appreciation. So I think, I hope that's something I've done well over the years. One thing that I don't want to be solely responsible for, I think it's us as a management group do quite well, is being as transparent as possible. Now that's been particularly important during the last 6 months where we've been a little bit under the cosh and we've been very busy. It's important we don't sugarcoat information to our staff and we actually give them the exact reasons of why we're busy. If it's through a forecasting error on our behalf or a poor management decision, I think it's important we front up to the staff and give them the reason behind that. We've got to be completely transparent whether it's good or bad news to actually set common objectives between.
Okay, so the next question is, Si, what would you like to see from the management group to engage their teams and the department, please?
First of all, I think I'd like to see some creativity within the group. That's not to say that there's not any there at the moment, but I'd like to see us continue with that and actually grow on it. Let's not recycle old ideas. Let's move forward as a department, especially if those old ideas didn't actually work. I think we've got a really innovative management force, and I think that we've got a lot of talent out there who can generate new ideas to help push the department forward. Recognise talent early and make sure we're nurturing that. We've got a lot of great staff on the front line here. It's important that we do actually recognise that, not just on their appraisals, but during the actual probation period. An example of this, a friend of mine's actually a team manager in another department who we spoke a couple of months ago. He was mentioning how he's got a really talented individual on his team. He recognised that at the point of appraisal, but he actually passed their probation 4 months, which is 2 months early. So if you're recognising that talent early on, enough to pass somebody's probation early, then why aren't we developing them that early rather than waiting a year for them to hit appraisal time? I think we should be getting to know our staff on both a work and a personal level, understanding what makes them tick. It's all well and good understanding what people actually are driven by within work and what we use as motivators in work, but I think we should know about our staff outside of work and what's going on in their lives. I'd like to think I know a lot about my managers and the individuals on the floor, where I know who's got children, I know about their partners. In particular, I think that's a very big strength of Dave Halliday's. He genuinely seems to care about us and our families and our partners. He regularly asks how my little boy is doing. So I'd like us to be replicating that with all staff members, essentially. On that basis, understanding that every single person influences the department as well. If you break it down, every single person's results add up to the team results, add up to the department results. So it's important to recognise that every single person within this business is a contributing factor to that one share price. We've talked about leadership quite a lot over the last few years, and I think it's as relevant now as it ever has been. I want the managers to be leaders rather than managers. You should be able to inspire your team to work towards a common goal rather than just supervising them and troubleshooting. And I think we're doing that, but I think we just need to continue to do it and continue to grow in that area. I think we should be empowering our staff to make their own decisions. As I said in question one, I'd like to think that something I've done well over the years is actually allow my TMs, allow my staff members to make their own decisions and if need be, make their own mistakes without fear of reprisal. We often learn a lot more from our failures than we do from our successes. So I'd like our staff to feel empowered to make their own decisions, even if it's just a simple decision on a call without feeling the need to refer to their manager. I think we should be empowering our staff to take ownership of those situations. On the same vein, we should be empowering our staff to be part of the decision process. We have multiple work streams existing within customer service, and we should be making them feel part of that decision process as much as possible.
Okay, the next question I'd like to ask is, what is the biggest mistake we make when attempting to engage our staff in the department?
I think first of all, we sometimes take a blanket approach to all staff to try and engage people immediately. I think we're probably missing the point there. Each individual staff member has got different motivators, they've got different objectives they want to hit. So to try and engage, for instance in Swansea, 286 people with one approach just isn't going to work. And we do that sometimes as a knee-jerk reaction to try and see immediate results. I'd like to avoid that as much as we possibly could. Probably sometimes confusing job satisfaction with employee engagement, and trying to do too many fun things like offering treats that the staff may not be able to enjoy at the time. If we've got 200 calls on the board, then there's no point going around giving out loads of pizzas when they can't actually come off the phone to eat them. They'd be pretty cold by the time they get off the call or wait for break. So it's just making sure that if we are doing fun things to engage our staff and offering treats, they're relevant and done at the appropriate times. We are occasionally guilty of over-promising and under-delivering. A good example of that is coming back to when we've been busy and we promised a 97% call answer rate in October, 98 in November, 99 in December, and December we hit about 93.5 by the end of the month. And what that does is immediately disengages staff because we haven't lived up to our promises. So it was nobody's fault at the time, and not making any excuses. Things happened outside of our control which did influence that. We've got to be careful not to make these promises unless we're pretty sure that they're going to be accurate, essentially. As I've touched upon already, reusing the same initiatives over and over without being innovative. I've probably made those mistakes myself, multiple managers have probably made those mistakes, but I think we've all got to be creative going forward and come up with new initiatives because this is an ever-changing business. One thing that Admiral's been very good at over the years is when we reach the top of our game, change our game to make sure we never go through that decline period. And I'd like to hope that we'll continue to do that over a period of time. But on occasion, we do slip back into old habits and recycle old ideas, which I'd like to avoid doing in the future. As I've touched upon already, confusing satisfied staff with engaged staff. That's sometimes one of our biggest mistakes. We tend to think that driving fun is driving engagement, whereas I hope I've touched upon quite a lot already. It's more about development and setting common objectives between us and the staff to ensure we're all pulling in the same direction. Sometimes I think we're good at a department at thanking people, rewarding and recognising people, but when we get to the pinch, when we do get really busy, that does sometimes go by the wayside. And I think it's a rare thing, but I'd like to avoid that entirely, where we get so busy we forget the most important people, which are the frontline staff, and forget to thank them for all of their efforts they put in. And again, touching upon one of my previous points, I apologise for repeating myself, but not always identifying the talent early enough. what this will lead to is boredom and the desire to move on to other departments and other businesses, and I'd really like to avoid that as much as we possibly can. Another example in that area would be where we back on new business actually, and the customer services manager probably fed up with me talking about new business, to be honest with you.
Okay, Si, can you give us examples of staff engagement ideas that you've seen within your life and why you believe they have worked so well, even in workplace?
Yeah, multiple. I think staff are the most engaged when we talk to them. It comes back to maintaining the level of transparency with staff where we actually fill them in on everything, good or bad. Like I said, the particularly important ones were the ones which we took the most from. We're during those busy times, and sorry to touch upon it again, but it was important that we got in front of the staff and give them the honest feedback and actually collect their feedback and how they were feeling at the time. I think that not only did the staff really appreciate the fact that we were being honest with them, but we actually took a lot from the staff to actually get a feel of how they were feeling and see if we could put any corrective measures in place to actually work our way around that. The work streams, customer services are fantastic at doing this. Whenever we launch a new initiative, we don't just go gung-ho and control it as a management group. We understand that the front end users are closer to the staff than we are. The front end users are closer to the customer than we are. So their input into all of our work streams is imperative if we actually want to make those a success. So I think getting the staffing get involved in all of our work streams has been integral to the success of CS over the last few years. Staff involvement in creating the CS objective. Again, it would be very easy for us to go away as a management group and say this is what we want from CS. But when we're dictating what the objective is to the staff, that will lead to absolutely no buy-in because they don't feel part of that decision making and they're essentially driving somebody else's objective. Because the CS staff actually came up with a CS objective, there's a lot more buy-in to that. And we feel they're really passionate about driving that and they truly believe the ethos of customer services and what we're trying to achieve as a function. Opening up development opportunities to all of CS. Now what I mean by that is part-timers in particular have sometimes felt a little bit left out. I've probably been guilty of that a little bit myself in the past, but we need to understand that no matter how many hours people work in this department, every person is important to the next person. So now that things like the TIC ambassadors, CCR champion roles, various other development opportunities are available. Virgin do things particularly well. I particularly like the fact that they do as we do, they listen to their staff. They've got a quite interesting concept where they see the frontline staff as the most important people, even above the customer. So I think through the years in the service industry and in any industry really, we've had it drilled into us that the customer always comes first. Richard Branson's got a little bit of a different idea where he feels that the staff member comes first, and if you look after your staff, naturally your customers will be looked after and so will the business. And I've really bought into that way of thinking, and we should be looking after our staff members because you'll instantly see the results in customer satisfaction from those. So it's a bit of a different way to look at it to what we're used to and what we've had drummed into us over the years and what we've drummed into ourselves and other people. But I really like that concept and I'm coming around with that way of thinking, to be honest with you.
Okay, so that's it for Simon's interview. All of his available links and videos will be now available on his development page, and also Simon will set you a task which you have to follow if you want to complete the page. I think one thing that I've taken from today is that engagement doesn't just have to be fun. I think by looking after the people within your organisation, making sure that you do everything you can to value them is key to success within the organisation. So thank you, Simon, really appreciate it. And what we'll do as well, we'll set up something where you can contact Simon regarding this actual subject. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to email Simon and he'll help you further your development within staff engagement. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone.